very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will speak in English, and I think that this session, in actual fact, will be predominantly presented in English. We will all be speaking with different accents. Christopher will be speaking with a New York accent. Larry will be speaking with a Washington accent, and I'll be speaking with an Irish accent. So you're very welcome this morning. It's my honor and pleasure to chair this session. The session is titled Global Trends in Strategic Alliance and Collaboration. For those of you who are looking at the program now, and you see this guy's name should be Dr. Hani Damour. I'm not Dr. Hani. Dr. Hani had to return to the university for a short period. He will come back to join us, but I will chair the session for him in his place. And it's my honor to stand in his shoes, indeed, this morning. This morning's session, we will keep it sharp for you. You're going to get two perspectives of alliance and collaboration from two different approaches. Firstly, we're going to hear an approach from Christopher, who will present very much from the culinary art side of the business, down to the operations, to the nuts and bolts of a career in hospitality. And Dr. Larry will present, of course, a more academic model of alliance and collaboration from the perspectives of not only from George Washington University in Washington, D.C., but also from his great experience drawn from international travel and international experience himself. I will introduce each speaker as we go forward. Let me just give you an overview first to start with about the hospitality and tourism industry and education. For those of you who well know and travel from Aqaba, and you travel in the Dead Sea and Amman, you'll see many, many constructions going on. The greater majority of them are of hotels and tourism resorts and complexes. And please God, even as you look out the doors of the Sheraton Hotel, you'll see the St. Regis Hotel complex being built. Across the road is the Fairmont Hotel. And if you look in sites along the Dead Sea where hotels have been developed, and recently, of course, we've had two major hotels developed. We had the Lagoon Hotel and the Crown Plaza. Both of them have opened recently. Why do I say all this? Well, there are approximately 8,000 bedrooms in construction, not in the plans, but in construction in Jordan at the present time. We have projected over the next 5 years a requirement of about 25,000 first entry employees, not the existing employees, but the first entry employees, those who come and join the industry from other industries or as graduates and students. That's approximately 6,500 per year. Let me put it into perspective for higher education. It's 600 managers each year. On top of that, it's 1,000 supervisors that will be required. And that's to keep pace with the projects that are there. But let's talk about the shopping malls and food courts. Let's talk about the event and meetings incentive side of the business. And also talk about fast food expansion, which all require managers and supervisors. On the supply side, let's talk about, there are 21 colleges and institutions. There are 12 VTCs. And you graduate, higher education, that's universities and colleges, graduate each year about 2,000 graduates. Not all come to the industry. The VTC is graduating and training approximately 2,000 VTC trainees in hospitality, bakery, handcrafts, and other areas. So that leaves a gap of around 2,500. But you will have to bridge that gap, either in industry or in higher education. So it is important that you look at the new ways, the new trends, the new ways of developing and working closely in collaboration with the industry, and industry working closely in alliance with the educators and trainers. Because what is important is what graduates you have produced at the present time, that they meet and they are job ready. They're not only educated, but they have a vocational perspective on their careers. And that they can leave college or university as graduates and step in to take jobs. So it's the educator's role to be able to interlink and meet the demands of industry, but it's also industry's role to provide that suitable level of experience right from the beginning, right through to their work and assignments in college, and then, of course, internship and practical job opportunities. Without further ado, and not making too much of a statement, I would like to invite Chris Papagni to come to the podium. Chris is a graduate and a PhD. He is an educator, and he is the Executive Vice President of the International Culinary Institute in New York. I won't say too much about what Chris's institution, because he's going to illustrate to you in a very clear way the type of institution that Chris Papagni is managing and operating in New York. It's a very fine institute. We're very pleased that he would come and share his experiences, and he has many years of experience, particularly in the culinary arts area, which is an important element, specifically in the hospitality side of the business. Chris is also graduated in culinary arts and has extensive experience of traveling in the culinary fields. So we look forward to hearing your words, and of course seeing the perspective of your institution, Chris, as you make your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to thank USAID and the University of Jordan for having me here today. It's quite an honor to present the model of our institution in New York, California, and Parma, Italy. New Yorkers tend to speak very quickly, so I kept a minimum on the coffee this morning, and I'm going to try to slow down. But I'm one of 11 children, and I'm used to being yelled at, so if I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down. I won't mind. I won't be insulted. So, although we have 3 campuses, New York, California, and Parma, I have to say the Italian campus is the one that I feel closest to because of my Italian roots, and also because you can get culatello in Parma, and it has not yet been exported to the US. I'm waiting. Prosciutto is sort of mild and easier to digest, but I like the heartier, earthier culatello. So we've been in business for 30 years now, and longevity in the culinary field is really important. Culinary schools have not really been around that long. The CIA was the first school. The Culinary Institute of America was the first school in the US, and CIA is about 55 years old, so we came along shortly after. This is Dorothy Hamilton, my boss. She's a great lady, an entrepreneur, very difficult to work for because in any 5-minute period of time she has about 1,000 ideas, but it keeps me on my toes and makes for a great work environment. And you can see, I don't have to read them, you can see the many accolades and awards she's received. Awards are a big part of the success of the ICC, and it's important to legitimize our business, for people to know out there in the culinary industry that we're doing our job and we're doing it well, and we've been recognized throughout the world for the work that we do. Our program is 6 months long, and this is specifically our culinary pastry programs, which are our 2 main career programs. And they're modeled after training in the military, where you have to get soldiers in, train them quickly, and then get them out on the field. Although universities are important, and we do have partnerships with universities, our model is a very fast-track model that gets people in and out so that they can respond to the needs of the industry. And as I've heard many times already today, there's a shortage of many different trade workers in the hospitality industry, but especially I understand that there's a strong need for a commis, that entry-level chef position. So that's what we do really well, and we focus on that fast-track training. We have a number of other programs which I'll speak about in a minute. As I said, culinary was our main program, culinary and pastry. We started an Italian studies program a few years ago. Italian food has become an important cuisine in the United States, and although there have been Italian restaurants for years, the idea of fine Italian food is a more recent concept, at least in New York. And it's important that we train individuals to prepare Italian food. So our program is 7 months long. The students start for a few months in New York. They then travel on to Parma, Italy to complete their studies, and then they do a 2.5-month externship at restaurants throughout Italy. We're doing a similar program starting up in just a few weeks for Spanish studies, and again it's in response to very popular cuisine in the United States. Hasn't always been the case. I can think of just 20 years ago when there were just 2 Spanish restaurants in New York, which has thousands of restaurants. Now there are hundreds of very fine Spanish restaurants. Restaurant management is, oh, it was too loud, sorry about that. I told you to yell at me, just make me move back. Okay, thank you. Our Spanish studies program, as I said, is just starting out, and we will be offering externships in Spain as well. And this is in cooperation with the Spanish government. The Farm to Table program is also a new program. Sustainability has become a very important part of the food industry in the United States, even with companies such as Monsanto that are producing corn for thousands and thousands of people. We still believe that purchasing local food and serving it immediately to the table is an important aspect of the modern cuisine model. And then we have various other shorter programs, cake, bread baking, the sommelier program, all responding to the needs of the industry for people to be specialized in their particular area of interest, and being certain that the hotels and restaurants have staff to be able to fill the openings in these various areas. You can see why I love Italy. That's the Medici castle there on the bottom. It's been around since the 15th century, and it's just a beautiful place to study. These are some of our very famous alumni. You might recognize Bobby Flay. He's on television quite a bit, and he was in our very first culinary class. Started out as an 18-year-old individual that had a really hard time learning in a classroom environment, but really took a liking to cooking, and is now one of the most famous celebrities in the United States and known throughout the world. And he's also one of the wealthiest restaurateurs in the world. And then some of the others that you see there are people that have been recognized for their culinary expertise. Demonstrations are a really important part of what we do at the school. It's essential that students see individuals in the field that have been successful. They come and are privileged to present their skills to our students, and We do this 4 or 5 times a week. These individuals are also asked to be a part of our jury, and for those of you who are interested in being more a part of the educational experience, I recommend that if schools here in Jordan offer the practical part of their testing, final testing, where there's a jury of individuals from the industry, that you ask to be a part of that jury, because it's really important for you all to be able to handpick the graduates from really good schools so that you can staff your establishments. These are some of our partners. We work closely with Yale University, Cornell. We have a partnership with NYU and the New School. Although we are a trade school, and it's total immersion curriculum, in and out, and as quickly as possible, many of our students have parents who are very interested in their children acquiring a liberal arts degree or a 4-year college degree. Individuals can come to our school for the career program and acquire quite a lot of credits toward their undergraduate degree. And this relationship is with the New School. And then for NYU, students can get up to 6 credits toward their master's degree in food study. And this has been a partnership that has been around for over 20 years. Technology is and those of you who have restaurants and hotels know this. There are many new techniques in the culinary world having to do with very sophisticated equipment, and it's important for us to train our students on how to use that equipment so that when they go out and work for you, they can maneuver in the kitchen and work with the sophisticated equipment that you have in your kitchens. As I said, the farm-to-table curriculum has been a really important piece that we've added to our offerings. And I think the nice thing about being a trade school, and I'm not saying anything disparaging against universities, Larry, but we can do things very, very quickly. Universities normally have lots of layers of administration, and in order to get a program approved or kick-started, it usually takes quite a lot of time to make it happen. At a school like ours, where we have a very small executive committee and a single owner, we can take an idea and turn it into reality very, very quickly. And this was one of those ideas that came up just recently, and curriculum was developed, and it'll be taught for the first class in just a few days, actually. The Italian culinary experience I spoke about already, but it's a really important offering at our school, and it's been recognized as one of the only offerings of its kind in the United States. And that's because of that experience in Italy at an actual cooking school, and then the stage or externship, where they get to spend valuable time at a restaurant. And as it's been said before, it's important that it not just be an individual thrown into an environment where they're not really taught. It has to be monitored, and there have to be people committed to working with students, and we've handpicked those externships in Italy. That was a fun part of my job a few years ago, actually going to some of those restaurants. This is Jacques Pepin. I don't know how many of you know Jacques Pepin. He's very famous in the United States. He cooked quite extensively with Julia Child, had a television show, and he was the executive chef for Charles de Gaulle when de Gaulle was in office, and he's one of our very distinguished deans, and helps us get some of those jury members I talked about earlier. I'm just going to zip through some of these slides. These are some of the programs we talked about. This is Jose Andres, who was recently recognized by the James Beard Foundation as being the top chef in the United States. Jose is from Spain, and he's been very involved in creating the Spanish curriculum. And that's part of our success as well. We don't just have academics sitting in offices at the school. dreaming up what we think should be taught to our students. We actually have experts from the industry come in. We engage them quite rigorously in the process of curriculum development, and they become a big part of what's taught in the classroom. And Jose is actually escorting the students on their first trip to Spain. And Jose owns probably 15 restaurants all over the world and is very busy, but education is an important part of what he believes to be essential for the growth of the industry, and so that excellence is pursued in the culinary arts. This is our really beautiful wine laboratory in California, and the sommelier program is growing pretty rapidly. In the United States, wines from all over the world have become very important and more difficult to learn about because there are so many. There used to be, just a few years ago, just mainly French wines that were the top wines sold in restaurants, and today we cover the entire globe. So there's more to learn about, and this certification program is highly regarded in the U.S. Our school does quite a lot of consulting, and part of our success is the essential piece of being thought leaders in the industry. We are the go-to folks when journalists and academics have questions about curriculum and about technology and about programs such as the Farm to Table program. So we have many individuals at the school who do outreach and consulting work throughout the world. L'École is our restaurant, and if you have a culinary school, I think it's really important to actually have a restaurant where students can have real life experience and the public can witness firsthand the kind of food that you're producing, and it really does help give you credibility. And we have one of the finest restaurants in New York. And I've been eating there for 15 years now and never grow tired of it, as you can see. This is a new acquisition. So just to go over some of the things that I was asked to speak about, private ownership in our particular model is essential just because there are not many layers of administration to work through. With one owner with a vision, we can quickly update and modernize our school and keep it relevant. An advisory board is essential, and all of you can certainly be a part of a school's advisory board. We have individuals from the media, from hotel management, restaurant owners. It's important that this advisory board be members of the community that can attend meetings and be a part of the school and offer feedback about the curriculum and about the way teaching is done at the school. So the advisory board is essential. A little different from the program advisory committee, and those are individuals who are on the ground actually doing the work as opposed to administration and management. These are actual chefs. They are journalists who are doing the writing. They're the sommeliers in the restaurant. And each of our programs has their own program advisory committee. And oftentimes it's those folks who tell us what should be in the curriculum. So we take these meetings very seriously. And we not only involve them twice a year in a meeting, we also get them in to do demonstrations and be part of the jury, and have them come for social gatherings as well. I think that's another piece to offer several times a year an opportunity for people to come together and just be with one another, learn a little bit more about who they are and what their aspirations are, and just to do that in a social setting. A lot of deals are made at the table when you're enjoying food, so I strongly recommend that. Our prominent deans are a big part of our success, and we have 7 or 8 of them, and they are the leaders in the industry. And they're pretty much letting the world know that we are the experts in the field. And these are people who came up through the ranks, who started as line cooks and worked their way up to become executive chefs. And of course, some of them are TV personalities and really well known in the US. Your teaching tools must be relevant. Resources are hard to come by these days with the economy being what it is, but we make purchasing the finest tools and equipment a priority. I think that's really important for any culinary school. You can't expect the students to use hand mixers and then go to work at a hotel restaurant that has sophisticated hobarts and expect them to know how to operate them. You have to give them the equipment in the classroom so that they're prepared for the industry. Product pricing and bidding is really important, especially at a school like ours where we have corporate and purveyors providing product for the school. If you accept olive oil from a particular company, it's really important that the students know that there are other olive oils to be used and that they can be just as good or sometimes better. So it's important not to tout one particular product and to expose students to many different products. And sometimes, even if the bid is a little higher, it's worth spending the extra money for the quality. As another part of our strategic alliance, we feel that conferences and symposiums such as these are really important to be held at the school. And oftentimes, the topics can be quite controversial, but we think that's an important part of being a thought leader, is that you present all sides to the argument. And so several times a year, we offer conferences and symposium. Scholarships are a big part of our success, and I mentioned a few of our corporate donors who have donated product, but sometimes they donate money to provide an opportunity to students who couldn't otherwise attend the school to be a part of our program. And choosing those sponsors is a really important part of what we do at the school. We talked a little bit about externships. This has been a very difficult part of our work, not only in the US but abroad. Many countries do not easily get visas for work for very obvious reasons, because they have their own people who live in the country and need to work. So we have developed a partnership in Italy, France, and Spain, but we're working towards developing externships in other countries throughout the world. So if Jordan wants to be a part of that, we'd love to engage someone here and talk about how we might make that happen. So future associations with industry and corporate sponsors, big part of our future success. It's important to choose the right organizations to be a part of. We ask our managers to attend meetings on a regular basis, and we provide them with the financial resources to do that. Corporate sponsorship is a fairly new idea at our school, because we've never really wanted to promote any one particular product, but we have incorporated sponsors into our conferences and symposium model. Okay. And I'm gonna wrap up because I'm afraid I've run out of time. But I think the other piece that I spoke about that's important, the new school and the New York University articulation agreements have helped give us credibility and legitimize our business, and I think that's a really important thing for trade schools to consider, to have those alliances. And that concludes my presentation. I know we'll have an opportunity to answer some questions, but again, I want to say thank you for having me here. I understand what's happening in this country with tourism is a little, I'm a tourist here myself right now, and to see, to visit places and see that there aren't that many tourists because of what's happening in other parts of the Middle East is sad, and I hope that this situation gets cleared up pretty quickly so you can get your tourists back here and so everybody could start earning revenue.